Here's a scenario that terrifies most leaders. You've been promoted to lead a team of technical experts, software engineers, data scientists, clinical specialists, people who have been doing this work for 15 years, while you've only been in the role for 15 days. You're in your first team meeting. Someone uses an acronym that you don't recognize. You nod along, hoping it will be made clear. It doesn't. Someone asks your opinion on a technical decision. You feel your face flush. You deflect. Well, what do you all think? Hoping it sounds collaborative rather than clueless. After the meeting, you spend 2 hours Googling terms you should have probably already knew. And you think, they're going to realize I don't belong here. How can I lead people who know so much more than I do? If this resonates, here's what you need to understand. Your expertise was never what made you a valuable leader. Your job isn't to be the smartest, it's to build the smartest person in the room. Let's explore why this specific anxiety is so intense for leaders and why it reveals a fundamental misunderstanding about what leadership actually is. What most leaders believe. To lead a team, I need to know more than they do. My authority comes from my expertise. If I can't answer their technical questions, I'm not qualified to lead them. The reality. Leadership and technical experience are two different skill sets. Value comes from orchestrating talent, not being the most talented person in the room. Think about a newly promoted engineering manager who spent the last decade as a brilliant individual contributor. They could solve any coding problem. They were the person everyone came to for technical answers. Now they're managing a team of 8 engineers, 3 of whom have deeper expertise in critical areas. Here's what happens over the next month. The first week, they try to stay technically current with every project. They review every line of code. They insert themselves into every technical discussion. Week 2, they're working 70-hour weeks, just trying to keep up with the technical details while managing people, budgets, and stakeholders. Week 3, they realize they're becoming a bottleneck. Every decision waits for their review. Their team is frustrated and innovation is stalling. Week 4, they're burned out. Their team is engaged and they're seriously questioning whether they should have accepted this promotion. The real problem, they're still trying to lead as an expert when they should be leading as a leader. Here's a pattern I see repeatedly. The more insecure a leader feels about their expertise gap, the more they try to close it by asserting technical control. This creates the exact dysfunction they're trying to prevent. Here's the insight that transforms this completely. Your job as a leader isn't to be the expert, it's to be the facilitator, the integrator, and the amplifier of expertise. This connects directly to the Know Your Worth pillar of my framework for connected leadership. When you know your worth as a leader, you understand that your value doesn't come from being the most knowledgeable person in the room. It comes from creating the conditions where the collective excellence of your team exceeds what any individual, including you, could achieve alone. Let's break down what leadership actually requires when you're managing experts. Not your job. Have the deepest technical expertise. Know the answer to every technical question. Make every technical decision. Prove you're as smart as your team. Be the final authority on specialized topics. Actually, your job. Asking questions that clarify thinking. Connect people with complementary expertise. Remove obstacles that block your team's work. Translate technical work into business value. Make decisions when your team's divided. Protect your team's energy and focus. Develop your team's leadership capabilities. Here's what transformed my understanding. Years ago, I was leading a project with team members who had specialized expertise that I would never possess. They were clinical psychologists with decades of field experience, data scientists with PhD statistical level knowledge, technical advisors who'd forgotten more than I'd ever learn about implementation. I felt like a fraud. What value was I adding? Then I realized my value wasn't in competing with their expertise. It was in connecting their expertise in ways they couldn't see from their specialized vantage points. The data scientist saw patterns in the numbers. The clinician understood human behavior. The implementation specialist knew the operational realities. But no one was connecting those insights into a coherent strategy. That was my job. I wasn't there to be the smartest. I was there to build the smartest system. The best leaders don't have all the answers. They ask the questions that no one else is asking. What does this look like in practice? Well, when you don't know something, from my perspective, deflecting with vague authority, I don't have expertise in this area. Walk me through your thinking. What am I missing that you're seeing? When experts disagree, making a decision based on who you like more or who's more insistent. You both have valid perspectives rooted in different expertise. Help me understand, where's the actual disagreement? Is it about goals, methods, or assumptions? When asked for technical direction, giving an opinion when you lack the context to have one. What recommendation would you make if this was your decision? What constraints or considerations am I not aware of? The hardest part of this transition isn't tactical, it's psychological. You were promoted because you were exceptional at something specific. Your identity was built on being the expert, the problem solver, the person with the answers. Now your value comes from something completely different, orchestrating others' expertise. This requires a fundamental identity shift. From I'm valuable because I know things to I'm valuable because I develop people and connect ideas. From good leaders have all the answers to good leaders ask all the questions to unlock better answers. From my team needs me to solve their problems to my team needs me to create conditions where they can solve problems. Think about the difference between these two leaders facing the same situation. A team member comes to them with a technical problem. The expert leader immediately jumps to solve it, to prove their value, gives direction, even without full context. The team member leaves with solutions, but no growth. The facilitator leader asks, what solutions have you considered? What's blocking your decision? What would you do if I wasn't available? The team member leaves with clarity, ownership, and expanded capacity. One leader preserved their ego. The other developed their team. Here's your practice for the week, the I don't know challenge. In your next 3 meetings, find at least one opportunity to genuinely say, I don't know. Tell me more about that. Not as a deflection, as authentic acknowledgement that someone in the room has expertise that you lack. And that's exactly how it should be. Notice what happens. Does your team respect you less, or do they engage more deeply? Does your credibility diminish, or does trust increase? Do you feel less valuable, or do you create more value by unlocking their knowledge? The question inventory. Replace direction giving with question asking. When someone brings a problem this week, respond with, what solutions have you already considered? What would you recommend if this were your call? What information would help you decide? What's the worst case scenario if we choose wrong? What am I not asking that I should be? Your goal is to coach their thinking, not replace it. The expertise map. Create a visual map of your team's expertise. Who knows what? Where do the capabilities overlap? Where are their gaps? Then ask yourself, how am I leveraging this collective intelligence? Am I connecting people who should be collaborating? Am I developing expertise in areas where we're weak? This map becomes your leadership tool, showing you where to facilitate, connect, and develop, rather than where to insert your own expertise. Here's what I need you to understand. The moment you became a leader, your value stopped being about what you personally know. Your value became about what your team collectively achieves. If you're the smartest person in the room, you've built the wrong room. If you're answering every question, you're preventing your team from developing their own judgment. If you're proving your expertise, you're undermining your leadership, because your worth as a leader isn't demonstrated by having all the answers. It's demonstrated by developing people who don't need you to have all the answers. That's not a weakness. That's the entire point of leadership. Drop a comment. What's the hardest part of leading people who know more than you? For me, it was the fear that I don't know would expose me as unqualified. What's your struggle? If this shifted something, save it, because you'll need it when imposter syndrome whispers that expertise equals worthiness. Isn't to be the smartest, it's to build the smartest room.